All right, a massive explosion after a Bengaluru school took an undertaking from parents that they should allow their children to carry a Bible with them to classes. This is, of course, exploded in the state of Karnataka. The BJP-ruled state is now seeking action. A show-cause notice has been sent to the school administration to explain themselves and what this diktat really means. Here's a quick look at the story.
Your child will not object to carrying the Bible during his/her stay at the Clarence High School. This undertaking that was shot off to parents from a prominent Bengaluru school has snowballed into a massive controversy. The Bible diktat in this school got the Fringe up in arms, and now the Bombay government has also cracked the whip, issuing a show-cause notice to the school to explain itself within 7 days.
ಸಿಲೆಬಸ್ ಗೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ತರವಾದಂತ ಫ್ರೀಡಮ್ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಅಡ್ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟ್ರೇಟಿವ್ ಫ್ರೀಡಮ್ ಇದೆ. ಈಗ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲವು ಕಡೆ ಕ್ರಿಶ್ಚಿಯನ್ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಅವರದ್ದು ಕ್ಯಾಟೆಕಿಸಮ್ ಅಂತ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಕಂಡಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನಾದರೂ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಇದೆ? ಖಂಡಿತ ತಪ್ಪು. ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ಶಾಲೆಗಳು ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಆಗಿದೆಯೋ ಆ ಶಾಲೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ರಿಲಿಜಿಯಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸಸ್ನ ಮತ್ತು ರಿಲಿಜಿಯಸ್ ಬುಕ್ಸ್ನ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಇಂಟ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಬರಲ್ಲ.
Meanwhile, the Archbishop of Bengaluru has spoken out in defense of the school, saying that if Bhagavad Gita lessons are okay, then so is carrying the Bible. The school too has defended its notice to parents, saying there was nothing controversial about the Bible order.
We are aware that some people in society are upset about one of the policies of our school. We are a peace-loving and law-abiding school. We will not break the law of the land. That is our affirmation. For 100 years we are here, and we will continue to be a society-building school.
But trouble is mounting for Clarence High School authorities. The National Commission for Protection of Child Rights has written to the Bengaluru District Commissioner seeking a detailed report on the entire matter.
बच्चों को स्कूल में उनके धर्म के अलावा कोई और शिक्षा देना संविधान के अनुच्छेद 28 का उल्लंघन है. बच्चों की पहचान उनका अधिकार है और ऐसा किया जाना आईपीसी के विभिन्न प्रावधानों में अपराध है. हमने वहां एसपी को लिख के बोला है कि इस पर मुकदमा दर्ज किया जाए और कार्रवाई करके हमको एक रिपोर्ट दी जाए.
The Fringe is upping the ante, alleging that students of the high school don't have the right to practice their religion and that the Bible is being imposed on non-Christian students.
यदि आपने हिंदू स्टूडेंट्स को या अन्य कोई भी धर्म का व्यक्ति है उसको यहाँ पर पढ़ने के लिए ले लिया और आपने उनको अभी रूल बता रहे कि नहीं आपको यहाँ पर आने के बाद बाइबल भी पढ़ना पड़ेगा, तो बाइबल सिर्फ क्यों पढ़ना पड़ेगा? Why not Bhagavad Gita?
So Clarence High School has been given 7 days time to explain why they issued the order for students to carry the Bible. Action will then be taken by the Bombay government based on what the authorities say. But with several saffron groups upping the ante, there is immense pressure on the Bombay government to immediately crack the whip. With video journalist Madhuwar, Nolan Pinto for India Today.
All right, let me quickly cut across to our panelists joining us. Mohan Krishna, spokesperson of the BJP in Karnataka, to give us an understanding on what the state government of Karnataka is mulling over while taking action against this school. Clarence School, thank you, Mr. Mohan, for joining us on that. Clarence is a very old, very popular, and let me remind our viewers, very reputed institution in Bengaluru. You have people of all religions studying in that institution, and this is not a fresh diktat. So it's very surprising that this has come up very recently, that the BJP government has now noticed that Clarence has asked for Bibles to be brought to class, which has been going on as a practice for so long. I'm not saying it's right, but I'm saying, isn't it too late for the BJP to wake up one fine day to say what you're doing is wrong? What action are you mulling over?
Good evening, Nabila.
Right, sir.
As you are saying, BJP is not going to look into all those things. See, basically, Hindu Jagaran Samiti, few people, they have raised this issue. This has come to the light of the day very late, of course. But this has been given evidence. The evidence is there in the Archbishop's letter. He has written to the public today. In that he says that till last year, they were carrying this, they were forcing on this, but not this year. That's one point. Second point, these kind of activities might be happening in other schools also. By virtue of this, coming into the light of the day, the other schools will also be probably come in line. A very important point what you have raised, what government of Karnataka is going to take action. This school comes under CBSE syllabus, and this is under national, that is MHRD has to take the decision.
So
Karnataka State Education Ministry and the concerned department, Education Department, has sought a clarification from the Clarence School, and after that they are going to send the report to the MHRD, and MHRD is going to take the decision. It's not the Karnataka state government.
Mr. Krishna, what I would want to ask you here is that the Hindu Jagaran group had to reach that school and pull up the school management before the Karnataka government decided to act. Yes, of course, this is against the Karnataka Education Act, that you can't allow for religious scriptures inside schools. But here is a minority institution. Clarence High School is a minority institution, and they've been practicing for so long. And when you say that several other schools in Bengaluru or Karnataka will also come to line post this revelation, let me remind you, I also studied in a convent school in a Christian minority institution, and we also had to sing hymns. We also had the Bible classes. We had so many other classes that had religious colors to it at that point, but it didn't really quite change anyone and their religious beliefs. Nonetheless, it's a minority institution. Will that mean some concession to Clarence School, considering it's a minority institution?
As per the national law, they are not supposed to enforce anything on the students. This is on that issue, there will be some problem to the school. Coming to the Archbishop's letter, which he has written, he has cited that Bhagavad Gita. I'm sorry to say, Archbishop, I think he has been misinformed. The Karnataka State Education Minister has clarified it, and the Education Minister has said that it will be a moral studies.
Sir, what is moral studies when you're trying to impose Bhagavad Gita in classes? My question was that you're opposing for Bible in schools, but are you okay with Bhagavad Gita to be brought in school syllabus? And how can you say it's not a religious scripture? Bhagavad Gita is a religious scripture.
Nabila, don't twist the question. Don't twist the question.
No, are you okay with Bhagavad Gita in school syllabus?
With regard to Clarence, it is very straightforward that they have enforced Bible compulsory for students to bring Bible.
Sir, it is wrong. What Clarence has done is wrong. What I'm asking you is, are you okay with Bhagavad Gita in school syllabus? Will you bat for that?
Bhagavad Gita is school syllabus. See, Bhagavad Gita says, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyudhanam adharmasya tadatmanam sujamyaham. What does it mean? Glanir bhavati bharata. Glanir, that is India has to become superpower. That is what it is going to teach. That kind of small verses.
Sir, so that is your are you trying to say this is just mere moral studies and it has nothing to do with religion? But Bhagavad Gita is looked at as a Hindu religious scripture. You might have a different interpretation of what Bhagavad Gita is. The courts have not said that Bhagavad Gita is not religious.
I am clarifying.
Have the court said that Bhagavad Gita is not a religious scripture? The court has not said it. The court looks at Bhagavad Gita as a religious scripture. So you cannot call this moral studies. But nonetheless, what the convent school has done is clearly in violation with the Karnataka Education Act. In fact, Aiyshwarya Mahadev joining me right here from the Congress Party of Karnataka. Aiyshwarya, the Congress has been in power so long until the BJP took over halfway through this time. But until the Congress was there, it seems like it was almost appeasement politics for the Congress Party. The Christian institutions and minority institutions have very well had a free hand in conducting hymns inside classrooms, in ensuring Bible classes and examination over the Bible class. How is this okay? How is this not against the Karnataka Education Act, and why did you not wake up in your tenure?
Good evening, Nabila, and I think, theology lesson aside, the singular fact remains that the BJP has not woken up too late to the fact, as the BJP spokesperson said. Rather, they realize there are elections in a year, and they obviously need to stir the pot in the direction that they want to take these elections in. Let me clarify a few things. I'm also from a convent in Bangalore, much like you. I also did have scripture classes. I also had Bible study. I also had moral science classes, which were tiny excerpts from the Bible that we were all taught if you did not believe in taking scripture lessons.
And much like I did that, there are also Hindu private institutions in Bangalore, like your VNS and Aditi Malia and whatnot, for example, where they did have scriptures of a different faith. So the fact of the matter remains that private-run educational institutions in Karnataka, and we have a majority of them, and a lot of them, mind you, have always imbibed tiny lessons or models or the faith that they practice in or their institution is built on, and they always pre-condition that the children are okay with it or the parents are okay with it. This has been going on for decades, if I'm not wrong. And the fact is now the BJP has picked it up, and now there comes this selective outrage. No, you know, if moral science lessons come from a Bible or a Quran, it is wrong. But if it comes from a Bhagavad Gita, it is absolutely only moral. That is the completely incorrect value judgment that should not be passed. There are two things the state should do. You either decide you allow moral science lessons or parts of other faiths to be imparted in those minority-run educations or majority-run educations for one and all, one. Or second, you completely exclude any sort of religious instruction in all of these schools. And when you talk about violation of the Karnataka Education Establishment Act, I think there is a provision also, and also constitutionally, where you think religious minority-run institutions are allowed to conduct certain lessons and parts. However,
no, but that must be voluntary. It must be voluntary, Aishwarya. I'm sorry, it is voluntary, not compulsory. There cannot be an undertaking that only if you sign the undertaking that I will be bringing the Bible to class, only then will I get admission in that school. That is compulsion. It's not voluntary. So what the school is doing is in gross violation of the Karnataka Education Act, undoubtedly. But the question here is, will you oppose? Will the Congress party oppose Bhagavad Gita in schools? Will you oppose it?
We believe that moral science instruction of any faith is something that is essential for the overall holistic development of a child. I'm saying if the government believes that the Bhagavad Gita is something that imparts the necessary moral science lessons, we think in the same breath that you need to respect the secular fabric and respect other faiths also, allowing to have these sort of moral science scriptures for their students, especially if they're minority-run institutions. But secondary, if anything is mandatory, if it's coercive, it is something that does not offer the child or their wards the choice of opting in or out of it. That is the problem that has to be looked into, and that is what I was going to say. So next
right,
month,
a quick word from Mr. Mohan on that. Mr. Mohan, if you really had, if you had such a problem, I'd want to ask you why just take a report? You're waiting for a report. You're waiting for investigation to complete for you to take action. This is a diktat, a clear diktat that is out there. The Archbishop has also very rightly said. In fact, the Archbishop has also stepped in, has commented on this, saying that in fact he's also surprised that one institution in Bengaluru, out of the many Christian institutions, one institution has over-enthusiastically tried to impose the religious scripture. So the Archbishop is admitting that Clarence could have overstepped undoubtedly, but what kind of ruling will the BJP government make in Karnataka? Is there a blanket rule that you will come up with? You're saying you're almost giving out a warning to all the other institutions. What kind of checks will you put in place across minority institutions right now? What's your plan?
Nabila, now that this has come to the light of the day, it is understood that all other institutions will be under alert. They will be cautious. If they were practicing earlier, they will stop it either. And with regard to the Karnataka state government is not asking. We are not going to have it is not dictated as you are saying. There is a procedure. As per the procedure, we are asking the clarification from the school.
So I'm asking what punishment? If Clarence is found to have really violated the Education Act, what is the punishment? This is a long-standing school and institution that's imparted education to thousands of children and a stellar institution undoubtedly aside of this communal clash point here. What kind of punishment will Clarence have to face if found guilty?
Do you mean to say US is a superpower, so whatever they say we should do it? Is it the way? Clarence is a good school, I agree. So what? If they have violated and if they are not following the norms and laws, so they have to be punished. What will be the punishment will be taken care by the MHRD. Karnataka State Education Minister is going to send the report. Ministry, not even department. Education department is going to send the report to MHRD because there is a complaint. There is a huge hue and cry about this. See, everything in Karnataka today has become a national issue. It is very unfortunate.
We know why. We know why. We're looking at elections round the corner and we're looking at large-scale polarization currently erupting from the state. No,
We are
apart
not
from that,
for-
you're
we
calling
are
this a
not going
national
for
issue.
polarization.
We are looking at
We are
elections
going
round
on
the corner.
developmental plan.
Right,
Sabka
Mr. Mohan,
saath,
come to
sabka
the crux
vikas.
of it. What action are you taking against Clarence School? As I finally come to an end
That's
of this.
what the report will be submitted. Report will be submitted to the MHRD. MHRD is going to take the decision and the punishment or whatever it has to be. If they are going to apologize and they confirm it that in future we will not do it, MHRD will decide what to do. We cannot say from sitting here that there is no diktat or anything here. Nabila, don't put such words. Karnataka state government is not on diktat. We are
No, sir.
following
I'm
the
not talking
procedure
about your
and the
diktat. I'm talking
procedure
about
will be-
Clarence diktat. I think you got me wrong there. But a quick word, sir. Would you still impose the Bhagavad Gita? As I wrap here, I want your word on that. Will you still impose the Bhagavad Gita in schools?
We are not going to impose Bhagavad Gita in schools. Let me clarify once and again for you that Bhagavad Gita verses will be added in the moral studies as a moral study. As you have Bible, as you have Quran, everything, let them study Bhagavad Gita, which was not
All right.
there
So
earlier, will be added.
it's voluntary. If you're going to study the Bible, Quran, then you must also have the option of studying the Bhagavad Gita. That's your take on that. Mr. Mohan, thank you very much. Really appreciate your time on that. Thank you, Aishwarya, for joining us. Let me quickly cut across to some big breaking news on the language war that's erupted in Karnataka.